So I had a couple in with me today that I was working with, and we talked about this theory that I think is so helpful for couples. And it's something that I always look at when a couple comes in. And I thought, like, just quickly to jump on a video and give some of this education to whoever wants to watch this. Um, I think the way that I would frame this is most of us think our relationship is just like maybe fallen from disconnection. Maybe we just feel stuck. And there's these researchers, Ellen Bader and Peter Pearson, and they discovered that just like any human being goes through these developmental markers, infants to toddlers to school age to teenagers, young adults, just like humans go through that, every relationship also goes through some predictable milestone markers and stages. And so they explain that, like, most of us think that we need to find the perfect person, and maybe what when our relationship feels like, I don't know. I mean, maybe you're fighting, maybe you're not even fighting, but certainly disconnected, and it certainly isn't what you thought it was going to be. Like, how do we get here? That this new research shows that through different emotional stages, when we hit those milestones, things certainly change. So the question is, how can we grow together in these stages without getting stuck? So, for example, when a baby is born, they're so dependent on a human being, and they have this like love that grows, like their mom or dad are the most incredible thing in the world. And as a new relationship, when it develops, there's a parallel there. And then they grow up, and at some point they become an adolescent, a teenager, and they start getting kind of feisty, and they're like declaring their independence. What's different about me from you? And then if they continue along that development, our hope is that once they're an adult, that we can have this give or take relationship. Well, relationships are the same. In a marriage, it starts with that like completely dependent and in love. It's magical, and we want to have that. But some couples get stuck thinking that's what they have to have, and when they don't have it, they think something's wrong with them or the relationship. But most people evolve into that adolescent stage, and where there's this little bit, maybe even discontentment. And as they enter that stage, a lot of couples think, again, something's wrong. Like, I want to go back to that infant stage. And these researchers suggest that's not what we want to do. That's not what we want to do. We want to move through to the awkwardness of adolescence to the next level of development. Because in that level of development, when we move to that adulthood where it's more balanced, we find true connection here. And that doesn't mean you can't have fun and be playful, or that your relationship has to be like boring. This is actually where the true connection comes. So if you're stuck in that adolescence, there's some assessments that we can go through, and I give you like specific education and application in your home to help you move through the next stage. I want you to think back at the last time that you really felt frustrated in your relationship, and see if there's an ability to differentiate. Differentiation is kind of a new word. Actually, it's a very old word, but it's a newer word in pop psychology. And this is like the idea that a human being can make space for themselves and make space for another human being. I can be in relationship with another human being and still be myself. This isn't just with relationships. This is an adult maturation of, let's say you belong to a church. Can I develop my own faith? Can it look a little different than yours and still belong to this church as a collective? That's called differentiation, and that requires maturing. And so in your relationship, when you think about that last time you really struggled, I wonder what level of differentiation you had. Is it okay that your partner feels different than you? Can you hang on to your opinions and make space for them? There's this kind of silly metaphor that I like to picture, and that is a pot with two plants planted side by side. If we plant them too close together, there's not room for them to grow and flourish. If we plant them too far apart, there's no connection there. They just are two separate plants. But the idea is, if we plant them together, kind of close but enough space, then there's an ability to develop and grow and be strong and make this beautiful, I don't know, arrangement. Maybe that's too cheesy for you. Another way to look at it is a Venn diagram. I always, when I work with couples, a Venn diagram pops in my head of two circles. And maybe here's the husband, let's say, and here's the wife in that circle. And I'm curious about what space is in between. Some couples, that Venn diagram is like completely eclipsed. That's that infantile stage. Other people have their circles completely separate. And that's disconnection, that's the teenager stage. And we want to invite you through practicing, through understanding, to bring those two circles and create something really beautiful in the middle. So that's the developmental psychology behind couples work, differentiation, and finding connection there.